Hey guys, Veronica here. Welcome to this garden at the top of the world here in Big Sur. I just wanted to show you guys around a little bit as far as I realize that there's things in my process that I don't always walk through when I first arrive to a space. And so I wanted to kind of walk you through like what I'm looking for, how I approach a space. I found this sweet selfie stick in my stuff while I was digging around earlier. So we're gonna try this out and hopefully it doesn't fall off, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not too shaky. But yeah, just sort of poking around this area and taking a look at what natural materials are available, what spaces are available for planting, and I'll walk you through sort of what I've done so far. So we're gonna have some lighting situation here, but on both sides of me here behind this staircase, the staircase behind me, and I like ran around furiously watering earlier so I wouldn't be totally embarrassed at sort of dying plants that I hadn't watered this week, waiting for rain. But both sides of the staircase, I basically have various flower bulbs and wildflowers planted. You can see that there's a couple of, this is tricky. Okay, there's a couple of these little like calendula plants, which will put some color on, as well as there's some daffodils and narcissus in here. There's a variety of like poppies and stuff, native California wildflowers in there. So just looking to see, what kind of takes root, what comes up as we go along. Over here is where I decided to put the pineapple guava, and I see a little bit of new growth on it, so that's looking hopeful. I ended up not splitting it into a bunch of different plants to put along this wall, but I'll show you along this wall here. That guy's I was like, that's a sad example, but I have a couple of herbs here and there. So I have some oregano in here, there's some mint that's right down here, again some rosemary, and I've scattered rosemary throughout, as well as the mint and oregano. So taking smaller packs of plants and then breaking them up a little at the root space. I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in a second, or how I go about doing it, and then making more plants that you can then kind of cover a larger area with. I'll show you, let's go back up really fast, what I've done with the grapevine so far. Get a good workout here, it's all hills. So you can see these guys, there's a little bit of trellising going on. It's really, I just dropped some posts, some of the fallen trees that I found in the forest. So I dropped those posts in to support the vines so that I could get them to start going vertically. And then a couple of cross beams here and there. I think this one's really fun because it's already starting to create sort of that arch effect. So yeah, just playing again with the materials that I have available here. You'll see there's this big bare patch right here next to me, and there was this, where is it? Right there, this pile, sort of decomposing grasses and whatnot, but they were really, really matted. So I decided to move those from this big open space to kind of turn them over. Found some lizards and snakes and dung beetles hiding in there, so that's very exciting. Really, when I approach a new space, part of what I do is go around and look for piles of things that I can then dig in and look for signs of life. So this pile still has some lizards and snakes and whatnot. I made sure to move them as I was turning the pile and not to injure them, because they're a very important part of the soil food web. As you can see, I have not done much to these raised beds yet. That is at the top of the list over the next couple of weeks here. And then also all in here, and I'll get you the reverse shot, but all in here I have now various sort of like seed blends as far as grasses and greens and wildflowers and mustards and herbs and just various things to try and both hold the soil into this retaining wall as well as add a little more variety in terms of plant life and plant roots. Come over here really quickly to this favorite little rock garden. I added a couple of just these little violas because I love them, and they get, you know, a fair amount of shade throughout the day, so hopefully they don't melt down in the summer. And then let's see, in this corner here you can see like all of this pine needles. I added some strawberry crowns. I didn't plant all my crowns because there are pocket gophers everywhere here. Like you can see all of the holes that they make. They're pretty destructive, but you know, keeping the soil aerated, I guess. So just finding spots as I go to put plants when I get a little ahead of myself and decide that I need plants, even though I don't have spots picked out. So one of the things that I found to be really exciting recently is that you can look in various parts of the yard, and I'll just get you the close-up with this camera, but you can see that there's fungi popping up, which I'm not entirely sure what kind of fungi. They sort of look like honey fungus. I can't think of the Latin name right now, but I'm not, totally certain. But I am certain that fungi is typically, especially the fruiting bodies, invisible mycelium, it's typically a good thing because that means that the space is not available for bad fungi. But what we're doing right now is walking around sort of the perimeter here. I wanted to show you, so there's this pile right here, right? It's sort of like a pad where some mulch was done or dumped or both, and I've been digging around in here a lot lately because one of the other things that has been really fascinating to me as I get deeper into soil science is just looking for visible mycelium to add more fungal mass to your soil as you're reconditioning it for the areas that you want to plant. And so this area was great. I'm going to pull you some here and show you because like the fungal biomass in here is just fantastic. But you can see, the sun is going to make me crazy. Okay, you can see that there's just like really good mycelium on all of these wood chips. It's helping, break down the substrate into something that will be a little bit more soil-like. So I think that that's so exciting to know that, like, okay, this corner has wood chips that are breaking down. They have, like fully inoculated with mycelium. So if I have a pile of wood chips, say like up in the driveway, that doesn't have, they're not moving very quickly, they're not turning into soil quickly, it's nice to have, know that those are there so I can grab it and mix it into the soil, mix it into the fresh wood chips and start getting those to decompose a little more quickly. So you can see like on this wall, I have mulch on top of the places that I planted. It's very intentional. It's to try and get a little more fungal biomass in the soil so that all of this soil can then support a wider range of plants. I have not done any testing in terms of the microbiology in the soil that's like around here, but I have a feeling that while there's pockets of fungal activity that are left over from when there were a lot more trees here, it's starting to move back towards a more bacterially dominant based just on grasses and weeds and whatnot that are popping up. So trying to get that a little more in balance. And so then what I do is walk the perimeter of the space that I have to work with and look and say, okay, like what other materials are there that I don't need to, run out and buy. And so like you can look around right here. There's this fallen tree. That's what I've been cutting at the last couple of days. or last couple of weeks, just to make trellises and arbors and whatnot. There's also this like really random bamboo patch, which I think is exciting, just based on what I've learned about microbiology and Korean natural farming and all of these things. Bamboo patches typically tend to have a very diverse array of microbes. So knowing that this is here, that we're moving into rainy season, we're kind of in rainy season, that there's, the space around the base of this to start harvesting and propagating out some indigenous microorganisms potentially. That's very exciting, but you can see too, lots of leaves, very soft, spongy soil. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's probably about 50% decomposed granite and is very good at sliding down the hill at any given time. But we're going to try and prevent as many mudslides as possible. So, and then just kind of looking down through here, and looking at the spaces, that I think I will eventually want to play with, depending on, how long I'm sticking around and working on this project. But there's really nice sort of, just like this slope, and then you can see behind me, like it goes a slope down from that hillside, and then there's a flat space behind me. So really some great areas to potentially work with in terms of planting more perennial sort of bushes or vines, fruit bearing obviously. This great hillside out here. See if I can walk through these blackberries without dying. Yeah, there's this huge thicket, by the way. You can see that. But there's like all of these berry brambles, which I refuse to remove because one, I'm pretty sure they're going to fruit this year. Could be completely wrong and just don't know what this thorny thing looks like, but I'm pretty sure they're going to fruit this year. And two, I'm pretty sure they're holding the hillside up. So we don't want that coming down because that would be bad. But you'll see like there's this really great slope right here. They get some nice sun. And so maybe working through some of that as we go along, as I run out of space up top, after I get the raised beds done. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, so this area, I mentioned it on Instagram. I think I might have mentioned it in my last video as well, just for planning and setup purposes here. But this area was pretty ravaged by fire like 3 years ago. And so there was nothing left up here. They lost a lot of the larger trees. Like you still see, bits and pieces of trees that have scorch marks on them. And the big oak trees over here, they still have scorch marks on them. So it really wasn't that far removed. And one of the things you'll notice if you're ever working in a fire-stricken area is that there's a lot of carbon in the form of like ash and charcoal that's in the soil. And so it can be a little bit, what's the word? Like tricky, I guess. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. But you'll find that as you dig, you'll get like this really rich black soil. But then as you smear it, I'll show you, as you smear it on your fingertips, and your fingers become black, and it's ash and coal, not, like super healthy dark soil. So really trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to work in the various spots to sort of counter, how alkaline that ash makes the soil. So a couple of you guys also had questions about the spiral in the front yard. And I'll actually throw in that build video right here. But so someone asked if there was like some scientific principle to the spiral. To the best of my knowledge, no. But yes, because there are a lot of spirals in nature. And so it just felt really natural to make a spiral. I wanted to make a spiral. I thought that it was a fun way to go about doing a sort of strange compact garden in the middle of this yard, because eventually this whole space will probably have a deck on it again, so I wasn't going to do anything too permanent. But I really like, you just like walk the spiral and work on it and water it and think about everything and nothing all at the same time. So yeah, like, I think that having, you know, a spiral, a labyrinth, whatever you want to call it, it's a nice fun addition. You know, losing your mind and finding it all at once, making you guys dizzy, watching videos on YouTube. Like, I get all of the things that I want out of something like that. But also, part of the planning with it too is to try and see if we can't arrange both fungi and bacteria to sort of encircle each other and start to meld without having to like turn over everything. So the goal is to move as little soil as possible. I feel like I made that goal happen. I thought we were going to get a sunset today and I could give you guys a time lapse, but it looks like it's just going to get foggy. Here, you should be able to see the ocean behind me, but it's not happening today. So I think that's pretty much it. Oh, around these stumps, I'll just add this in and then close it out, but around these stumps I wanted to mention, I planted a bunch of garlic, just like little garlic bulbs that I had that I was carrying that didn't have, you know, any pest or disease. And so hopefully those will be popping up here soon. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and follow me on Instagram at FlavorKit for all this sort of stuff and even more. And until next time, happy gardening. Whew, it's getting cold. Goodbye.